I am so glad to be here, and thank you just for saying that. I have done a lot of random things, doing Facebook ads, so I'm excited to get into it. And somebody said in the comments, very meta, Facebook talking about Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we're doing today. That's sort of my specialty.
Where to talk about it, we should be. Yeah. So I want to just get a little bit of background about you and what you've done. You started out doing congressional work, right? You were working with Congress, right?
That's right. Yeah, I was one of the first people on the Hill that had the title of digital director, and so there was these new things. So there were these new things that were called Facebook pages, and they got invented. And members of Congress said, "What do we do with this?" And Facebook said, "Here's how you should use them as elected officials." And anyway, the rule had been changed that members of Congress could use official funds. So I worked on the official side of Congress to advertise on social media. So awesome. We started doing like ads, as everybody remembers those. Yeah. And then I started an agency for members of Congress within another company that basically helped advertise legislation that members were introducing. And it was actually really fun. Every Facebook ad we put out had to be approved by a bipartisan commission on language approval.
Oh my gosh.
So that was pretty interesting. But yes, that is.
It took about 6 months to get an ad approved.
No, it literally took about a week.
Okay. That's wild.
So it was a little slow, but there was phrasing you couldn't use. But that's how I got my start. And then I worked with about 100 members and eventually went to work for a company out of Chicago, but they were based in California, based in San Mateo, doing the early days of paid social. Helping organizations and brands and companies make money using Facebook. It was not that it's not the Wild West now, but it was an earlier version of the untamed Wild West.
Really, really wild. Really.
So as you know, and I always tell people, as being in the Facebook ads game for as long as you have, I feel like I'm sort of a grandpa now, even though I've only been in it for 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually just looked at when I first ran my first ad. It was 2005. So I was like, wow, that's cool. So then you went on to California, and you were working with some big brands like GoPro, Hootsuite, some others, I think.
Yeah, I worked with Fitbit. I worked with Square, and the early days of really helping them become using and paid social in an informed way. Yeah. And rapidly then we had newsfeed advertisements, and so things started kind of changing pretty quickly. Okay. But did that, and then over time, I realized that where I felt that I could be the most valuable was to people that were kind of in a growth phase. So, or they needed a consultant that would help them figure a lot of the paid social out. And specifically, when I say paid social, it's really the Facebook and Instagram advertising, Facebook only at that time. So, so my wife and I started Foxwell Digital sort of while we were traveling around the country in our Ford Focus, and that's how we got to where we are now. So,
Great. That's awesome. Okay, cool. That is so good. So, for those of you who are just joining us, I'm here with Andrew Foxwell. And you can find him at Foxwell Digital. I'm just going to put the link to his info in the comments there. And we're going to just start getting into it. And I'm going to fire off some questions. And if people have questions, you can ask as well. But I want to start out talking a little bit. You actually have an awesome article today on Convince and Convert about some of the cool features that are available, and kind of talk about custom audiences. And so let's talk about some of the cool features that are available with custom audiences. And I'm going to put that in the comments as well. So what are you seeing that's working there? Yeah,
and the article that I wrote, which I think is pretty interesting, is that it says features in the headline, but really I think it says that are working. So I think it's important to mention on the outset that, everything's a little bit relative for everybody. Yeah. But the things that are really working right now in custom audiences, for me, there's two main things. One of them are two, a couple of them are more low funnel, retargeting options, and then there's the lookalike of those for more top funnel. The thing, first of all, is building upon an event that happens with the Facebook pixel. So building a custom audience based upon people doing a certain thing on your website. So an example of this is, let's say you have the Facebook pixel on your site, and you want to create an audience of people that have gone to the site 3 times in the last 7 days, right? Mm-hmm. That would qualify that they're fairly interested in what you're doing. And so that's obviously a great audience to use. Yeah. The other one is you can do it off of a URL. So they have gone to your products page X number of times over a certain period of time. And one thing that we've done that's been really interesting is something like 8 to 10 visits to a certain page over a 180-day period has been really productive, because they've been in there, and then you're excluding the checkouts, or you're excluding people that have purchased or those that are on your email list, because it shows that they've sort of been creeping, like, to some degree, like they've been checking things out.
So they're kind of stalking you. This is so awesome. So you can target your stalkers with ads. I love this. Yeah.
So that's really, those are really great ones. And there's other extensions off of those, and that are, there's kind of another piece in the custom audience world of the engagers. So people that have sent a message to your page and things like that. And actually, I mentioned in the article, but you can create lookalike audiences on all these. And one of the best lookalike audiences that I've had is actually those that have engaged with my Facebook page within a 60-day window, and a lookalike of that. And another one that's been really good is a lookalike of people that have messaged my page. Yeah. Which is interesting. I think part of it is because it's dynamic, but those have been some really good ones for sort of that top funnel traffic.
Yeah, so the lookalikes, they update as that audience grows and changes, right?
That's correct, yeah.
So I think this is great. These are great techniques, because a lot of people, and myself included, you don't have thousands and thousands necessarily of people who are engaging with your page necessarily. So, but you can create a lookalike audience of them to say, go out and find 2 million people who are like these people who like to engage with my page, right?
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah. And so I think that an important thing to mention for Facebook advertisers, and for those of you that are out there, is what Facebook did early on was, and I think they realized this was a mistake, is and online advertising does this as well, generally kind of as an industry, is you view all of your retargeting pool, i.e. those people that have been somewhere on your website before, you view them the same, and they're not the same, right? They're different. They're very different. They do different things. If I visit once and you visit 3 times, you're way more interested than I am. Yeah. But there wasn't a way to qualify them before. Yeah. So the event-based custom audience, which is still, by the way, I should mention, rolling out globally. So you may not have this yet, but you will. Has been a really good answer. And one that's related to that, that has been really productive, is one that's is called time on site custom audiences. And what that does is allows you to it's similar to what we just talked about. It allows you to create pools of people, 25, 10, and 5% of the top people that have been to your website in a certain amount of days. So you can create the top 10% of people based on the time on site that they have spent from your Facebook pixel. So that's obviously an incredibly valuable thing.
Yeah, that is awesome. That's really cool. So we have a question about from Beverly that's saying, what is the Facebook pixel? And Beverly, I just put a link in the comments about a little bit more about what the Facebook pixel is. It's basically just a bit of code that you put on your website, and it can then track the traffic, and then you can build audiences in Facebook based on the traffic that comes to your website. So, the challenge with the pixel and the traffic on your website is that for some of the techniques that are out there, you have to have a lot of traffic on your website if you were going to target those people or retarget those people. So I love the engagement targeting and the idea of lookalike, building lookalike audiences based on that. Just in case you don't have a lot of traffic, you can, expand that into a lookalike audience, perhaps. But I love the idea of having the more engaged people as your seed for that lookalike audience. That's awesome.
Yeah, the engagement one's really nice, and it actually does qualify things differently. So if you have a Facebook page that does get a fair amount of interaction and you want to qualify people that click versus people that do some other sort of engagement action, there's actually 5 splits, I think, within that even that you can break it out. So it's an interesting thing, and I think what it forces us to think about and as marketers and as people that are marketing our own products or whatever you're trying to do, is it forces us to think about how do I use all of these things together? So not how do I use conversion ads and launch those and just do it to a lookalike and see what I get, right?
Yeah.
How do you launch on the first part of it, people coming to your site, getting them there, and then how do you take that traffic and to some degree make it more broken up and understand these people are more valuable than these people and spend your dollar more effectively.
Right, and build on it, and build, increase the connection between you and those people who have maybe, are those like quiet stalkers versus the active stalkers who are actually leaving comments, it's really, you can split that up a little bit. So that's great. I love that technique. So let's talk about, we're talking about conversions and lead generation. What are some of the things that you see are working for, for getting leads on Facebook? What's kind of, is it all about just the targeting? Is it, about what you're offering? I mean, I know it's kind of all of those combined, but what are you seeing that's working right now for lead generation?
Yeah, I think I think it is a mix of different things, and it depends on the person that it depends on what you're trying to do. I think at the end of the day, without talking about Facebook tactics generally, it's important to reiterate what you said, which is what you're offering something people care about and want? So like if it's pitched in a way that they don't get it right away, that's going to be a challenge. But I think there's a couple different things. One of them that's really working for lead gen right now is using lead generation ads. They work really well. They get good qualified leads that come in, and they're easy to sift through and easy to sort of capture them right on the site. Mm-hmm. Another thing that I found to be particularly useful that I also mentioned in the article is using an non-action based objective in the lower part of the funnel. So what I mean by this is not using clicks or conversions or engagements for those people that are kind of down here that have maybe shown a little bit of interest, but using reach as an objective or using brand awareness as an objective. There's so much, and we talked about this when we were together in San Diego, social media marketing world. There's so much competition that Facebook came out last year and said kind of to their biggest advertisers that something like 60% of all of the user base in the United States on Facebook is not actually in an action-based objective. Mm-hmm. So meaning that if you bid for clicks or you bid for engagement, there's people that are not in there, and they're just sort of passive observers.
Yeah.
So if you think about that in the universe, think about, okay, reach or brand awareness. That's an interesting way to get in front of those people. And you can also, with a reach objective, for example, you can control the impression volume more appropriately. Mm-hmm. So you can say, I want to show 1 impression every 2 days, which is probably better in many cases, right?
Yeah,
so you're not like inundating people. So that's been really good for lead generation for us to do that. And of course, then the one that's lead generation that I think is still a good model is video going to a webinar. So taking people with a video, giving them a taste, and driving to some sort of webinar landing page using mostly lookalike audiences, to be honest.
Yeah, cool. That's some great strategies, because I've used the brand awareness objective before, but you really, when I've used it in the past, it's been great for getting in front of people, huge impressions, but not quite as many clicks. But I like that idea of maybe getting a little bit more granular with the way you're focusing that ad, perhaps, and getting in front of the people objective pool. So yeah, awesome. So we've got a few questions. I'm going to put this one up here, and from Rohan, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Using, I think this is a great question that comes up all the time, but what if you're just starting out with ads? How do we target? How are we targeting? If we don't have a lot of traffic, if we don't have a lot of engagement, are we still using those lookalike audiences, or are we just really using keywords? What's your thought there for targeting and getting in front of the right audience when you're just starting out?
Yeah, I mean, when you're just starting, I think there are the most valuable thing that you can do is a combination of looking at demographics and really finding out, not 18 to 65 countrywide, male, female, like really what does that person look like, right? So first of all, I have a client that's doing a lot of lead gen right now, and they are talking about there's somebody that wants to get in front of people that have kids. So pushing to the people that have kids, and that's really important. And their target audience is like 28 to 45. Okay, so that's where we've set the parameter. So that's the first thing, just to make sure that your demographics are right. And then under demographics, you can layer in, are they parents? How old are the kids that they're going for? Or how old are their kids? That type of thing. And so thinking about the demographic photo. The next one, I still believe that's, it depends on the vertical that you're in, but I really believe that, interest-based targeting, and I know, John Loomer, who I'm on his podcast a lot, John loves to sort of poo-poo interest targeting, because there are parts of it that aren't accurate, which I agree.
Yeah.
But I think if I've looked at a lot of ad accounts, as I'm sure you have, where people they're starting out, and then one of the first things that they have is they'll be targeting something like, okay, I got my demographics, and then they'll target people that follow TechCrunch because they want to get in front of tech, and then people that follow Mashable or Mashable, and ultimately what you get out of it is those are really big, right? Those are massive audiences. So the question I always say to people is what's tier 2 and tier 3, right? So using audience insights in the Facebook ad tool and in Power Editor, how can you type in interest and see what other pages are over-indexed?
Yeah.
And you can use graph search on Facebook and type in pages similar to. Yeah,
I know it doesn't work as well as it used to, but it still is working.
A little bit buggy.
Little bit. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Audience Insights, it's in the tools area so you go up to your Ads Manager or in Power Editor, and up in the upper left corner, there's a menu bar, and then they've got the Audience Insights, and you can start finding what types of demographics people are doing, kind of doing some interest keywords or doing page keywords or things like that will help you do some research to find those keywords. So that's definitely a great tip to try when you're brand new. So I think that's a good one. So we have another question. Let me just, from Janice. And she's asking, if a Facebook page has low engagement and low page likes, would it be a good idea to run audience engagement ads in order to build that lookalike audience? So how do you start when you're up at that top funnel? What's your kind of first barrier, first type of ad you might run? Would you go with let's build up page likes, or let's build up, let's just get video that we can retarget the video views or something like that. I think it depends, Janice, and I appreciate your question. It depends on what your goal is. I mean, what's the ultimate goal, right? So are you trying to get leads immediately? Does it need to happen in the next
or are you going to play a long game of audience development? And so ultimately, that's like the first thing. So if your objective is, I want to get people to talk about me, and I want to have a conversation with people, and I want to go for engagement, then take a video and record it, put it on your Facebook page, and send it for the engagement objective. Don't use it for video views, right? And send it. That can be a great idea to get engagement ads, because if you think about the audience size that you're trying to go for, you think about let's just talk about the galaxy of like all Facebook users worldwide, okay? The whole thing is, and each of these objectives hits a certain percentage of the people. So we talked about something like 60% aren't in an action-based objective. So that's like a lot of people that are in these sort of awareness objectives, okay? Within that circle, if you think about the whole thing being 100%, probably like almost, 40% of the other part of them that are within that are engagement objective. Because if you launch an ad for engagement objective, there's going to be a large amount of people in there, because there's a lot of people that like, comment, and share on things.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's one that you can really reach a big group of people. So I think the answer is absolutely, if you want to build that lookalike audience, you have to, I think when you're getting started, it's also about, and you're thinking about, do I want to build this, to sort of get it going and run engagement ads? You have to think about and dedicate to a time, like a longer time period. And you have to sort of be regularly. And then over time, like if you have a video and you're pushing it out there, then you take it, you have to create the next video, and you create an audience of people that have watched 50% of your first video, and you launch that second video at those people, so that it's sort of this like self-fulfilling thing that kind of builds on itself over time. Yeah, so,
definitely. I've definitely found that same thing, where if you're reaching the people with the right content, like when I retarget my videos to people who watch my videos in the past, I'm getting super cheap video views, because that's the type of content they like. So I think it's really, that it can get kind of circular there, but it's important to make sure that you're kind of meeting people where they want to be. And if they like watching videos, then that's cool. And thanks to all of you who are tuning in right now, so watching this video. We're going to retarget you later,
Prepare yourself. It's going to be great.
So good. Let's see. One of the other questions I had was, what other questions did I have? I think we talked about lead generation, custom audiences, and if you guys have any questions, you can put them in the comments. Let's talk about anything else on the article that just came out that you want to kind of address. Let's talk about messenger ads, because that, to me, is it's a new platform. It's getting a lot of buzz. Is that the way of the future? People getting ads in their messengers, or being retargeted if they message your page? What's your thought there?
So how when sometimes you'll bake cookies, or you'll get a cookie somewhere, and it's like a little bit like it's not fully baked, but it's soft, and it's like it can be really good. Like that's where messenger ads sit metaphorically right now.
Love that thought.
They sit there, which is like they're sort of not fully baked. They're fairly cool when you get them to work, but they qualify that you can only target them to people that have messaged your page.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in messenger ads, so basically I'll just go through sort of what they're looking like. You have different options. You can actually launch an ad now for people to click to you and send you a message, right? And then you can target people that have sent you that message. Molly Pittman at Digital Marketer has a great blog post on this. You can just search Molly Pittman messenger ads, and it's awesome. I just talked to her last week on Friday, and she is like sort of building a whole course around messenger ads. Yeah. I've tried them in a number of different places. I've probably spent at least, I don't know, like $2,500 to $5,000 in them across different clients. I would have spent more, but there's very little volume there, and Facebook is on purpose throttling it. You can tell with the sort of within the algorithm of when they're showing it. But the times that we've run them, the cost per acquisition in e-commerce or cost per lead, they're like 60% less on average than
wow.
a lot of other sort of newsfeed advertisements or Instagram ads. So I think the potential is big. I think Facebook is really purposefully being careful with it. But the way that I would encourage you to use it, and one that I talk about in this article, is we had a client that they're an e-commerce retailer, and they had a shipping problem, and they had some issues with quality on one of their products, and so they were getting a ton of messenger things from their audience saying, "This is awful. What are you doing?" Like whatever, right? So we essentially created an audience of people that had engaged with their page, because there was a lot of people that were a little bit angry, and then we had created an audience of people that had messaged their page, and we sent them a messenger ad saying, "Hey, you're awesome. We hope. Thank you for giving us the feedback," that type of thing. And it was redeemed by about 70% of people, this certain code that we had created, and the CPA was like 70% less.
Oh, wow.
One of the ad sets was even 80% less on the CPA. So I think there's applications for them that really can be used so that kind of your really loyal people or in creative ways. But I don't think it's something that you're going to pour money into right now, but it's something that you can definitely experiment with.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, if your page doesn't have a lot of messages, you can't pour a lot of money into it at this point because the size of your audience is low, right? So you can't target all the people, if you've got 25 people who reach, you can't reach those people with an ad. So this kind of ties into, this is from Chris, ties into this. What do you see as the next frontier? Is it a little more personal, direct with like things like messenger ads, or is it, what do you see kind of the wave of the future? Yeah, so
full disclosure, Chris, who I didn't ask to be honest, but Chris is actually my business coach. So.
Oh, Chris, that's awesome.
He's a good friend of mine, but we've talked about this a lot, and I think it depends on how long we want to talk about this, but I think in the immediate future, the thing that is very clear that John Loomer and I talked about yesterday on his podcast that'll come out, I think, on Friday, is around F8. I think they're going to announce a lot of stuff about groups.
Yeah.
Because that's one that I didn't predict, to be honest with you, to be as active as it is.
Yeah, it's huge.
There's going to be probably two different things. There's probably going to be some sort of sponsored message that you as a group administrator could put in a group. And I also think that there probably will be an ability for us to target people that are in group sort of different types of groups.
Yeah.
So I think that's like an immediate thing that we'll see. The longer term thing that Facebook clearly has to deal with, and they've said this in every quarterly earnings call for the last 2 years, is we're going to run out of space in the newsfeed, which is true. And so there will be a continued expansion on things outside of Facebook. I don't want to get too nerdy with this, but like, if you look at the world of Yahoo, who just controls a lot of the display advertising that lives in the world, and then you look at Google, who just controls DoubleClick and display advertising. Google clearly has a great place for this, and Yahoo and AOL who knows how that's going to go with Oath and everything like that. And so Facebook clearly has an opportunity to take over, I think, part of the display advertising market, which inevitably they will do. So I think there will be an expansion of ads outside of the newsfeed. And we've seen that already with, Instagram story ads, with, carousels are already sort of a beginning departure of that, where you're showing more content in different places, messenger ads, as you said. So I think that's sort of the next window. And then I think the final window is, we are going to have to figure out in the next 5 years as Facebook advertisers is like, we're going to be creating ads and launching ads in virtual reality. It's just how it goes. So we're going to have to figure out that part of it as well.
Ads like swinging through your...
Totally. You're like watching a baseball game, and like a baseball comes across the screen.
anyone has not seen Minority Report, it really, I just feel like so much of it comes true. You know, it's like, yeah, the ads come at us.
Just redesigning, just reworking the screen.
So true. So great. We've got a bunch more questions coming in. I know I kind of told you about half an hour, but I want to get to a few of these cool questions, and we'll just keep going if that's all right. So totally. Rowan's asking, what's your take on manual bidding? And I'd love to hear your take on it. I have a take on it as well, but love to hear what you think.
Yeah, I mean, so manual bidding, I was actually the biggest proponent of manual bidding. I was a huge fan of it, and until up, really December.
Yeah.
Probably. And my thing was, Facebook had always said that if you wanted to really get in front of people, that you overrode the optimized CPM, and if you were using conversions objective, you overrode the optimized CPM, and you would put in a CPA goal of 4 to 5 times what your CPA is. So if you had a $1 product, you'd put in a bid for $4 or whatever, right? Which so that's how you won the algorithm. What's interesting, so that's my take. Generally, I still think that there's a lot of use for manual bidding that people can do, especially around holidays and around times when it's extremely competitive, or when there's an audience that converts well. I still think that manual bidding, specifically to the conversion objective, and the only other time that I really now use manual bidding is in a mobile app install objective. So if you have an app, you want to set a ceiling on that still can work well. But the more success that I've seen lately is people using larger audiences and bidding with the optimized CPM 1 or 7 day click window and letting Facebook optimize. That is something that I've seen working a ton better. And I think they've got, the Facebook pixel has become more intelligent, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it's really just, I think that Facebook has got it dialed in a little bit better to optimize that correctly. And so I also am using more, just sticking with the standard optimized bid that Facebook provides. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. So Thomas has a question, says, I know Andrea has experience with B2C and e-commerce brands. How does that define what ad choices that you select, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is, it lives in the conversion objective and link post ads, carousel ads. A lot of it lives within, website click ads, which are similar or which are the same, link post and carousel or video to some degree. It's starting where e-commerce advertisers on Facebook are starting to spend more money in the engagement objective, which I think is a little bit of a hack right now, but they're starting to kind of work within the engagement objective because it reaches such a larger swath of people. And if the Facebook pixel is smarter, which it is, and you can do things like, I saw somebody the other day, they were running ads for conversions, and at the ad level under the ad set, they had taken the post ID of a previous post that they had running that had a lot of engagement on it, and were attaching it using the post ID under the conversion objective.
Oh, that's interesting.
So that's kind of some advanced stuff that I've been seeing recently.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, I mean, I think, and what about product?
Dynamic product ads.
Dynamic product ads.
I should have mentioned that. Dynamic product ads, Facebook is clearly making a bigger investment in. They rolled out collections, which is an extension of your product catalog, and they've made it a lot easier to integrate. Frankly, they really have made that easier for you to get set up if you have a lot of products. Mm-hmm. So those are obviously big and will be. And they're now they're easier to administer yourself. They're still not super easy to set up, but I think that problem will be solved soon.
Good. So video ads, I'm interested because I've had people who have had different experiences. A lot of times when I'm running a video ad versus a still ad head to head, I'm getting still better conversions with just a single image, but I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on video ads and kind of running those and where you put those into the mix.
It's a really good question, and I will give a classic consultant answer, which is it depends.
Nice.
I mean, it's interesting. I totally agree with you. We just did about 10,000 in spend for a client over 30 days, testing a new release that they had of a product between classic carousel, classic link post, and video, and across mobile newsfeed, desktop newsfeed, and Instagram. Yeah. And the winner on CPA, to my surprise, was a link post.
Yeah,
right, and it still works, and it's been really productive. So I think in terms of Stephanie's question of do you think you should look at both video and still ads, the answer is absolutely. And I think it's you should test it. I would imagine if you looked at what really works. You don't have to use one or the other, but you would probably use them in different places, right? Video ads, a link post ad is a classic thing that you can use to get in front of somebody and get them interested in looking at it. And a video ad is a really nice piece using the view's objective to give people more context. I mean, how cool is it? I'm seeing a lot of things, and probably a lot of you guys are as well, seeing like videos that are coming up and they're like, hey, I'm Andrew, I'm here to make you $1 million overnight, right? That are video ads, and they look really, they're like, okay, like easy on the gas, buddy.
I know.
Like, I don't know if that's true, but I think
it's going to be on my Porsche.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my Porsche. And like a link post ad is a good way for people to be a little bit more passive, I think, and a little bit more kind of checking it out. And if you then create a custom audience of people that have gone to the site 2 times, they're in that top audience in the last 60 days, 30 days, and you send a video ad and you're like, hey, this is Andrew. Here's what I do. I'd really love to chat with you. Click here to book a call with me, or whatever. That to me is a better flow. And so it's not one or the other, but it gets back to what we were talking about earlier of like, how do we use all of these things that we're provided now in a way that is actually something to engage with?
Yeah, I love that. And I love just really kind of thinking about the customer journey and saying, at what point in their journey do they need to kind of see you? Where do they need to see just the product? Or whatever when is that going to work better? And I think it's really such a matter of testing, just really testing over and over what's working for this particular goal, so I think it's just not a matter of this is always the thing that works the best, but you just have to test it what point in the funnel.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah. So awesome. Well, I know we have some other questions coming in, and I apologize we're not getting to all of them. I actually have to jump out personally, but I've been super excited to have you on here, Andrew. I saw Allison's name, Alex, and I almost called it. But just definitely go and check out Andrew's page. I'm going to put Andrew and his wife Gracie have this Foxwell digital agency together. Fantastic. His wife has a book too, so check that out too. And I'm also going to leave a little, I have a little free course on Facebook ads that I just updated, so I'm going to put that in there too, that people can go grab. It's got videos and a little ebook there. But thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully let's do this again. This was fun.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thanks everyone.
We'll see you.